Alrighty, here's a quick little introduction to the early access alpha game, uh, Colonies Online. So when you start the game and after you've patched, there really isn't any patch, pretty much after you've downloaded the game, just, make your character, either, create person right down here, or if you're logging back in, hit start game. Now the game's mechanics are pretty basic. Uh, this is the view you maintain at all times. I've already played some, so I'm not starting off in the starter zone. But when you first load in, you're in a starter zone that doesn't look anywhere near as cool as this with all the little gizmos and gadgets around and trucks. The only thing confusing about the starter zone is the navigation. So it's a little hard to see because you can't zoom in on the map. But in your starter zone, you'll run around and you'll bump into lairs, which look a lot like hives in the Zerg from StarCraft. So you kill a few things, and on the map, you'll notice that you have your character name. Mine is Vavoom, and then right behind that, the second block which immediately overlaps it is the outpost Delta. So on your map, there'll be, when you want to navigate to Delta after you've messed around for a little bit, um, you'll want to see the white dot and just head in that direction. And since you can't zoom in, it's pretty hard to see if you're moving in the right direction or not. You can navigate with north, south, east, and west, but the navigation's kind of poor. But for those of you that are trying to figure out where to go when you first log in, just press M, look at your map, and make your way towards the point that is not blue, that is not you. Again, mechanics are pretty basic. WASD, you can also use the arrow keys. When you're in non-combat mode, you have a free mouse, so you can look at your character screen, your inventory, your ILU inventory, settings, which consists of logout and exit. And to enter combat mode, press tab. And as you see, you've got a little laser sight. You can shoot around, and you'll auto reload. After a second or two, you can click again, and you'll reload. However, you can reload much faster if you do it manually. So if you're spacing out, drinking or watching a movie, shooting at stuff, spam clicking will reload, so you don't have to use your other hand to, press R. But you can also do it faster if you do it with the other hand. What's going on in the game right now? There's not that much going on. There is farming, where you go find a lair, shoot it, and leave. Here we go. Here's an example. Here's a lair. Got something to kill. Start chipping the lair down. It'll continuously spawn little enemies to attack you. When you get the lair to a certain point, it might not happen on Delta, but on the other planets 2, 3, 4, and so on, when you get the lair to a certain damage state, it'll release slightly more difficult monsters. With the right weapon, they're not difficult at all. They're just there. And once you've killed the lair, so here we go, Swarmer Guardian, slightly more difficult monster, and it gives you a little bit better loot. Now, you automatically loot in the game, you don't have to run up and pick anything up. If you look down in the bottom left corner in the chat log, you'll see when I kill things, I'm getting items. So, I picked up a Xenom, you get item, monster remains, and that's it. You can switch back to your inventory, look at them, this is Xenom, these are monster remains, here's your gold amount, here's your loot space, got 19 free bags of 32, pretty standard, pretty easy to pick up. As we head back to Delta here, when you want to switch between planets, you have to go and buy an ILU core. I forgot what ILU stands for, but more or less you have to spend a little bit of money, like a gold 10, or an un-10 sin, or whatever the hell that is, and just equip one. And you can use that to deploy wherever you want to go. You can go to whatever planet, whatever landing zone. It doesn't get consumed when you use it. It does get consumed though if you're out being deployed and someone comes across it and just shoots it. They're pretty easy to kill, so be wary of that. As you're here in Delta, there's a few different vendors to pay attention to. There's these ex-dep supply officers here. This one on the left is for weaponry, and you'll see here there's the gold amount, there's a little weapon image. Right now they don't have names, it's just a string of numbers. This little blue thing is Xenodin, and what that is it is a drop from monsters on planets 2 and above, I believe, and you just accumulate them, and to purchase this you need 9 Xenodin that are like the level 3 Xenodin right there. You can see the influence level and the gold amount. Here, it's the same concept, but it's for armor, chest, legs, yada yada. They've all got different resistances. So 6 armor, virus, effect, intoxication. You've got your durability. Armor is an overall applied stat, it seems, and resistance means it's extra resistant to that particular type of energy or weaponry. And an example would be like my weapon here is ion. So anybody with high energy resistance, my ion weapon would do much less damage to them. Another vendor to pay attention to is the commander here, the outpost commander. He's got little armor headbands and stuff, but the thing that's really cool is he's got these ingots. And these are something you can buy to keep your money from depreciating. So when you die, when you get killed the first time, you enter a coma. If you get killed another time shortly thereafter, you die and then respawn. And you lose 10% of your gold on death and 10% of your durability on your items. And repairs are really expensive, and just losing gold, sucks. Another vendor, the ILU vendor, this is where you pick up the ILU core I was talking about that you need to transport yourself from planet to planet. Buy one, go up here to your ILU tab, throw it in the core slot, and you're good to go. You can buy attachments for it, but that's really it. Let's go back here to the, we'll go to the terminal in a second. Armory, here's the repair spot, just like most, role-playing games. You got your repair, click on an item you want to repair, you can see my durability is 91 out of 100 down there on the bottom right. My repair cost can be 1 gold, 87 silver, whatever that is. And that's repaired. Now cheaper vendors here are these VTI supply officers. These don't require any of those Xenodin, these are just regular gold purchases. So you've got your armor for just 1 flat fee. And then if we move over this way, you've got your supply officer who's got, weapons. There's 13 pages of them. They get progressively better. When you're looking at weapons, you want to look at things like this one. The DPS is 94.8, almost 95. The damage is on the bullet, doesn't really matter, but the thing to pay attention to is the firing 1 bullet. The fire rate is almost 9 shots a second. The dispersion is how far it spreads out of the barrel. So if you compare it to my gun here, I have 2 bullets on my gun, which greatly inflates the DPS. The usability means how kind of friendly it is. There's a couple other stats you can look at and figure out, but the main ones I think to pay attention to are fire rate, dispersion, and if you're worried about bullet count, you can do that too, because a shotgun firing 3 bullets with a certain amount of damage is going to have a higher DPS count, assuming you hit with all 3 bullets. If you only hit with 1, it has 1/3 the DPS count. And then the reload speed, because this game is really a lot about being able to reload quickly. Some weapons have like a 3-second reload, and that can be pretty detrimental, especially if you're playing solo and getting swarmed, since all things do is just constantly spawn ahead to you. So I'm going to show you how to teleport real quick to a new planet, and that's pretty much the last of it. Actually, let's backtrack to where's the construction guy? There's a construction vendor sitting somewhere around. Don't know where he went. Anyways, another portion of this game is construction. You can buy floors, power generators, walls, turrets. It's not that great right now. Any player can come across your turrets and your walls and blow them down pretty quickly. So I wouldn't recommend really delving too deeply into that. For those of you that might have bought early access and have weapons and items to pick up, if you're looking at the delta point here, this item pickup point is where you would pick up any sort of purchased item. So if you already had the game and then you bought like a new armor suit, or you bought like a nanobots, the repair bots, you can go there and pick it up. This terminal is where you transport, and this is the transport ship right above here. So currently on planet 1. I'm in squad, or in grid GC. If I want to go to planet 2, I go to planet 2, select whatever grid I want to go to. Let's see if I can find one that's grayed out. Okay, no, there's not. Sometimes you'll see a grid that you can't go to, and that's because all the ILU stations are currently being used, and there's no room for you to deploy to that grid. So we'll go to planet 2, and we'll look at HC. We can hit transfer. It'll charge me 1 gold, 50 silver, or whatever, sin, and then I'm here. It's important to make sure you have enough to get back, because if you don't, you get screwed. And look, there's buildings. Amazing. So here's someone's building they've slaved hours away on, and I just happened upon it, and I can start shooting. And that's just how that works. Yeah, his building's gone. That's why I don't recommend construction right now. It's pretty poor. Here also we have someone else's ILU. You know, it's unprotected. The turrets don't attack players, they only attack monsters. So I can just sit here and destroy it, and I'm going to, just to show you that I can. So what happens is, I'm killing his ILU. In his chat log, he'll be getting a prompt saying his ILU is under attack. He's probably far enough away, and the travel time in this game is pretty dang poor. So here, if I want to go back to planet 1, I'll hit call. It'll take 18 seconds to call in the ship. I select the grid with the outpost marker on it, and when the ship gets here, hit transfer. But now his ILU is destroyed, however much gold he spent on it, you know, probably 3 gold or whatever that was. He will not be able to get back to whatever planet. He has no mode of transit. So he either has to commit suicide, or if he has bought a second one and put it in his inventory, he can just equip that and come back. Equip it, deploy it, and come back. But, you know, it's kind of a dick move on my part, kind of screwed him over. Important thing to note about the inventory is, on death, if you kill another player, you get 80% of their inventory here, their loot inventory. As you notice, I have a lot of things that are, you know, this one sells for 14 gold, 2 gold, whatever. So all my quote-unquote valuable loot I've put in my inventory spaces, because this does not drop when you die. This does. And that also makes it a little bit more fun to kill players if they're out roaming around. You know, oh, I might have some stuff on them, I'll get big monies. But in a nutshell, for now, this is pretty much Colonies Online. There's not a whole lot to it. It's kind of entertaining. It's a lot more fun with people. If you're going solo, it's kind of boring and a grind fest. But yeah, there you have it. Thanks for watching.